Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umulitam Yena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. The following video series is a summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was translated into English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Also included are His in-depth commentaries known as purports. These purports unpack the often complex and symbolic language of the text, making it understandable to a wider audience. The Srimad Bhagavatam, also known as the Bhagavata Purana, is considered the most important of sacred scriptures. Composed around 5,000 years ago, it is considered the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature and the original commentary on the Vedanta-sutra. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadeva. He is also the compiler of the Vedas, classified as a Purana, a vast genre of ancient stories and knowledge encompassing history, philosophy, and spiritual teachings. Srimad Bhagavatam includes stories of avatars, creation narratives, lives of saints and sages, philosophy discourses, and practical guidance for spiritual life. Divided into 12 cantos with over 18,000 verses covering 10 subject matters. 1. The elemental creation. 2. The secondary creation. 3. The planetary systems. 4. Protection by the Lord. 5. The creative impetus. 6. Manvatars. 7. The science of God. 8. The dissolution. 9. Liberation. And 10. The supreme shelter. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, chapter 25, text 143 and 144, Lord Chaitanya, speaking to Prakrisananda Saraswati, tells him. Translation. The meaning of the Vedanta-sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of the Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Brahma Gayatri is also there and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Purana. It was compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. There are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 verses. Canto 8, chapters 9 through 16. Chapter 9. The Lord incarnates as Mohini-murti. This chapter describes how Lord Vishnu, in the enchanting form of Mohini-murti, tricked the demons to secure the nectar for the demigods. When the demons were fighting over the nectar pot, the extraordinarily beautiful Mohini-murti appeared. Captivated by her beauty, they chose her to mediate their quarrel. Taking advantage of their infatuation, she made them promise to accept her decision unconditionally. Once they promised, she arranged the demigods and demons into separate lines. She then proceeded to distribute the nectar only to the demigods. The demons, mesmerized, remained silent. However, one demon, Rahu, disguised himself as a demigod and sat with him. The sun and moon demigods recognized him and exposed his trick. Lord Vishnu, in his Mohini form, immediately used his disc to cut off Rahu's head. Since Rahu had already tasted the nectar, his head survived, but his body perished. After all the demigods had drunk the nectar, the Lord revealed his original form. The chapter concludes by highlighting the immense power of chanting the holy names and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. A verse from chapter 9 is text 27. Pita praye mrite devar Bhagavan loka bhavana Pashyatam asharindranam Svarupam jagrihe hari. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the best friend and well-wisher of the three worlds. Thus, when the demigods had almost finished drinking the nectar, the Lord, in the presence of all the demons, disclosed his original form. Chapter 10. The battle between the demigods and the demons. This chapter details the continuation of the battle between the demigods and the demons after the churning of the ocean. Despite receiving the nectar, the demigods faced a new attack from the envious demons, who were grieved after being tricked by Mohini-murti. The demons, led by Bali Maharaja, once again declared war on the demigods. The demigods prepared to fight, with Indra battling Bali and the other demigods fighting various demon leaders. In the initial classes, the demigods were successful. However, the demons, using powerful material illusions and sorcery, began to turn the tide, inflicting heavy losses on the demigods. Seeing their soldiers fall, and with no other option, the demigods once again surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. In response, Lord Vishnu appeared and systematically counteracted every single illusion created by the demons' magic. He then personally engaged the demon heroes in combat. Great demon warriors fought the Lord, but were all ultimately killed by him. A verse from chapter 10 is text 53. Natat pratividim yatra vidur indra dayo nripa dayata praduratrata bhagavan visva bhavana. Translation. O king, when the demigods could find no way to counteract the activities of the demons, they wholeheartedly meditated on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of the universe, who then immediately appeared. Chapter 11. King Indra annihilates the demons. As described in this chapter, the great saint Narada Muni, being very compassionate to the demons who had been killed by the demigods, forbade the demigods to continue killing. Then Sukacharya, by his mystic power, renewed the lives of all the demons. With renewed energy from the Supreme Lord, the demigods fiercely fought the demons. Indra, the king of heaven, used his thunderbolt to strike down Bali Maharaj. After a great many demons were slain, the sage Narada Muni intervened on behalf of the demons, requesting that the demigods stop the fighting. The demigods agreed and returned to their heavenly abode. By the touch of Sukacharya's hand, Bali Maharaj regained his senses and consciousness, and those demons whose heads and bodies had not been completely lost were brought back to life by the mystic power of Sukacharya. A verse from chapter 11 is text 44. Sri Narada Uvacha Bhavadvir Amritam Praptam Narayana Bhujashraya Shriya Samedita Sarva Uparamata Vigrahat. Translation. The great sage Narada said, all of you demigods are protected by the arms of Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by his grace you have gotten the nectar. By the grace of the goddess of fortune, you are all glorious in every way. Therefore, please stop this fighting. Chapter 12. The Mohini-murti incarnation bewilders Lord Çiva. This chapter describes how even the great Lord Çiva was temporarily bewildered by the enchanting Mohini-murti form of the Lord. Upon hearing about the Lord's amazing pastimes as Mohini, Lord Çiva, accompanied by his wife Uma and his followers, went to see the Supreme Lord. He offered prayers, glorifying the Lord as the all-pervading Supreme Controller and the cause of all causes. Lord Çiva then expressed his desire to see the beautiful female form that had so captivated everyone. To fulfill his devotee's request, the Lord once again manifests his external energy as Mohini, an irresistible, beautiful woman. Upon seeing her, even Lord Çiva, the master of his senses, was enchanted and momentarily lost control. However, because Lord Çiva is the topmost devotee, he was able to quickly regain his composure by the Lord's grace. He then circumambulated the Lord with his companions and returned to his abode. A verse from chapter 12 is text 12. Avatara maya drishta rama manashyate gunai soham tad drashtum ichami yate yosid vapur dritam. Translation. My Lord, I have seen all kinds of incarnations you have exhibited by your transcendental qualities, And now that you have appeared as a beautiful young woman, I wish to see that form of your lordship. Chapter 13, Description of Future Manus. This chapter details the 7 remaining Manus from the 7th to the 14th, along with their respective sons, demigods, sages, and the Supreme Lord's incarnations. The current 7th Manu is Shraddhadev, and his sons include Ikshvaku. During his reign, Lord Vishnu's incarnation is the son of Aditi. The 8th Manu will be Sarvani. His sons are headed by Nir Moka, and the Lord will appear as Sarvabhauma. The 9th Manu will be Daksha Sarvani, whose incarnation will be Rishabha. The 10th Manu will be Brahma Sarvani. The incarnation for this period will be Vishvaksena, a friend of Lord Shiva. The 11th Manu will be Dharma Sarvani, whose incarnation is Dharmestu. The 12th Manu will be Rudra Sarvani, and the incarnation will be Sudama. The 13th Manu will be Deva Sarvani, and the Lord's incarnation will be Yogeshvara. Finally, the 14th Manu will be Indra Sarvani, whose incarnation will be Brihad Bhanu. The chapter systematically outlines the divine order of the Lord's consistent appearance in different forms throughout the cycles of time to protect the righteous and guide the universe. A verse from chapter 13 is text 35. Tratrayanasya tanayo brihad banustadharin vitanayam Maharaj kricha tanu vitayita. Translation. O King Pariksit, in the 14th Manvatar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will appear in the womb of Vitana, and his father's name will be Satrayani. This incarnation will be celebrated as Brihad Bhanu, and he will administer spiritual activities. Chapter 14, The System of Universal Management. This chapter explains the roles of the Manus, their descendants, and other demigods in the universe's administration. All the Manus, their sons, the sages, and the Indras carry out their duties under the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's various incarnations. At the end of each Chakrayuga, a cycle of 4 yugas, the sages, instructed by the Lord, redistribute Vedic knowledge to re-establish eternal religious principles. The chapter explains that the reason for this complex divine management, rather than the Lord acting alone, cannot be understood by those under the illusion of Maya. This intricate system demonstrates the Lord's perfect plan for the creation's maintenance. A verse from chapter 14 is text 4. Chatu yugante kalena grastan truti ganayata tapasya rasyo pasyan yato dharma sanatana. Translation. At the end of every 4 yugas, the great saintly persons, upon seeing that the eternal occupational duties of mankind have been misused, re-establish the principles of religion. Chapter 15. Bali Maharaj conquers the heavenly planets. This chapter describes how Bali Maharaj, empowered by his spiritual master, conquered the heavenly planets. After being defeated and killed in a battle, Bali was revived by his guru, Sukracharya. In gratitude, Bali dedicated himself to serving his master. Being pleased, Sukracharya guided Bali to perform Vishvajit Yagna sacrifice. From the sacrificial fire, Bali received a divine chariot, celestial weapons, and armor. His grandfather Prahlad gave him an eternal garland, and Sukracharya presented him with a divine conch shell. Fully equipped, Bali led his army to attack Indra's kingdom. Seeing Bali's immense power, Indra sought advice from his guru, Brihaspati. Brihaspati informed the demigods that he could not defeat Bali due to his boons he received from the Brahmins. The only hope was the favor of the Supreme Lord. A verse from chapter 15 is text 4. Tam Brahmana Brigava Priyamana Ayayayan Vishvajita Trinakam Jigish Sammanam Vibhina Vikshisa Mahaviksekena Mahanupavan. Translation. The Brahmin descendants of Bhrigu Muni were very pleased with Bali Maharaj, who desired to conquer the kingdom of Indra. Therefore, after purifying him and properly bathing him according to regulated principles, they engaged in performing the yajna known as Vishvajit, chapter 16, executing the Payo-vrata process of worship. This chapter describes how Aditi, the mother of the demigods, was filled with grief because her sons were no longer in the heavenly kingdom. After many years, her husband, the great sage Kashyapa Muni, returned to his hermitage and found his wife extremely distressed. He first tried to console her with philosophical knowledge, reminding her of the difference between matter and spirit and how she should not lament material loss. However, seeing that Aditi was still not satisfied, Kashyapa Muni offered her a practical solution. He advised her to worship Lord Vasudeva, Vishnu, explaining that only he could fulfill her desires and restore her sons to their rightful positions. When Aditi agreed, Kashyapa Muni instructed her on the special ritual called Payo-vrata, a 12-day vow of worship. This powerful vow, which had been previously taught to him by Lord Brahma, was the surest way to satisfy Lord Krishna and receive his blessings. Aditi then prepared to perform this vow, following all the prescribed principles to please the Supreme Lord. A verse from chapter 16 is text 19. Kvadeho bhaktiko natma kvachatma prakite para kashyake pati putradya moha eva hi karanam. Translation. Kashyapa Muni continued, "What is this material body made of 5 elements? It is different from the spirit soul. Indeed, the spirit soul is completely different from the material elements from which the body is made. But because of bodily attachment, one is regarded as a husband or son. These illusionary relationships are caused by misunderstanding."